During World War II, this ship saw countless battles and didn't receive any major damage. But during its tenure, at least 200 soldiers died on board. For our Halloween special, we are visiting what is now a floating museum said to be full of ghosts, the USS Hornet. This is Red Web. Task Force, welcome back to a very special episode of Red Web, our third Halloween special. If you're listening to us, come on over to YouTube if you want to have that full video podcast experience. I am your resident mystery enthusiast and ghost fanatic, Trevor Collins. Joining me on this special occasion, Alfredo Diaz and the man in the chair, Christian Young.
Hello, hello.
Enjoy it while you can, Task Force.
The lights are on right now.
Okay, enjoy it while you can, because you got me out for another one. And I'm not happy about it.
We're already hearing just like stuff down there, just the natural noises of like being here.
Well, that's a plane. Yeah,
exactly.
That's called a plane.
Yeah.
We came in on that one.
Yeah, that's not natural. Yeah.
This will probably be one of the most unique locations that we ever do.
We are on a ghost ship.
So yeah, I'm very, very excited. Interestingly enough, yeah, you said no like visible damage to the ship.
Oh yeah, this
200
is...
people have passed away.
Yep.
I'm gonna assume it's like natural illnesses, whatnot. There might be some like some tough deaths in there, but I'm curious to see more so than any other episode. I'm curious to know what's in this ship because I'm on this ship.
Right.
And I will say, I made the very bad mistake of watching Ghost Ship last week.
Why did you watch that last week? You knew we would be here.
I watched 13 Ghosts, and it said
I want the ambiance.
Similar movies, and I clicked on it, and I was like, oh, and then I went, oh no,
that's the one where. Yeah, everyone's gone.
Everyone.
Is that the one with the piano wire?
Yup.
Yes.
That's that one? Okay, yeah.
Flicks through a crowd of dancers.
It was the wire on the top deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully nothing like that happens to us here because we won't be dancing and there's no pianos. But Christian and I kind of go through the ship. There's a lot of incredible spots that we're going to investigate on the aft end of this. So we're going to do the whole podcast, talk about the history of this ship, talk about a lot of the common ghost sightings that people experience on this ship. And then we're going to close down, do a separate video where we do the investigation. We take you right on in there. There's plenty of spaces where you and I are going to be investigating together. We're going to get the SLS camera out. We're going to do some auto writing. We're going to get all sorts of tech out. Yeah. And then one of our brave souls that rhymes with Drado might do some...
Drado.
Not even clever. Is maybe going to be brave enough to do an isolation challenge. And there's a lot of incredible isolation spots, so maybe we'll just keep it going, like a montage.
Or maybe do like a group one that we did last time, and we're all within 10 feet of each other, and that way I could see everyone.
We'll be within 10 feet through very thick walls.
Yeah. True.
So we might as well not be there. But this is our third Halloween special. Super stoked to be doing another ghost hunt. If you guys are enjoying this kind of thing, please let us know, because we would love to maybe do not just Halloween specials. Fingers crossed. If it's in the cars, I don't know, but we would love to do more, right, Fredo? I mean, Drado.
It takes me a year to muster up the courage to do this once a year. So I know
you're gonna have to do a lot of mustering, like do some like send your energy, like spirit bomb style, over to Fredo, so he can muster
in the thick of it now.
Yeah. All right, Christian. Any final words before we dive into the history?
To help further set the mood, do we want to say that when we were walking through the ship with our guide, we already heard things?
Oh yeah,
we
like
weren't
the ship
heard things,
like the ship
saw
creaking,
things.
and like
we weren't sure we
ocean.
could determine what it was.
Yeah.
There was a part of the ship where we were below sea level, and I did not like that part.
Yeah,
Oh,
we were
like
7
this.
decks down.
Yeah.
Regardless of it being dark and possibly like haunted, that's just
I was not a fan of that part of the tour.
Yeah.
that's a little scary.
So right now we are just below, this is an aircraft carrier. We are just below the very top surface where all the aircraft would take off and land. We are kind of where a lot of aircraft would be stowed away from the elements, and then are elevated up to the surface. But right now, as I mentioned, it is a museum, and so we're sitting around a lot of the fantastic pieces. There's an Apollo 1 capsule that they used for, I'm jumping some of the guns, but I'm just very stoked to be here. That capsule was used as an exercise to practice for the Apollo 11 capsule. I'll get into all that good stuff, but I got a special treat for that later on.
Oh, I bet you do.
Yeah. I brought a treat and a plan, okay? We're not going home empty-handed. We don't normally let the spirits come home with us, but if the circumstances are right, we might. All right, let's dive in.
Ghostbuster now.
That makes me
cross the
very
streams.
glad I'm not on the same flight as you going home.
Oh, yeah. I'll have to tuck it into your bag. All right, here we go. In 1940, 3 Essex-class aircraft carriers were ordered by the Navy, including the USS Hornet. Now, it wasn't until November 29th, 1943, that the USS Hornet was commissioned. Its hull number is CV-12. That'll be important because there's a lot of CV numbers out there. This ship actually inherited the name Hornet from a long line of other Hornets. After its predecessor, in particular, the CV-8, which was the 7th Hornet, it was sunk in the Battle of Santa Cruz in 1942. The name then passed on to this ship-to-be. It wasn't existent yet, but it had a project name essentially, and then they said, well, since this Hornet is now gone, let us pass it on to CV-12. Now, the Hornet, as I mentioned, is an Essex-class aircraft carrier, and it once carried 100 fighter planes on board.
I mean, this place is huge, but 100?
100. Let me break it down. There was 27 fighters. Let me guess how. We're taking a gander here. Now, we got all the lights off. We got lights on us so you can see, but outside of this immediate frame, it is pitch dark.
It's very dark.
Shane, you want to whiz him around and give him a...
We walked a good length of it. I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a lot. How does... All right.
Go for it.
All right. Dumb question. How does a ship like this float?
I'll be honest.
You know, when you really think about it,
the answer is frustratingly simple. It's just buoyancy. But when you feel this thing and you knock on doors and move stuff, it's all solid metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this thing's a brick.
That's wild.
It is pretty wild. Yeah, it's 37,000 tons, this ship, just so you know. But in particular, it carried 100 fighter planes. 27 of those were fighters, 37 dive bombers, 18 torpedo bombers, 3 observation and 2 utility aircraft, as well as 21 spare aircraft. You know, just your run-of-the-mill backup 21 aircraft.
Well, I mean, I guess like in the case of like, you know, attack on like native soil, whatnot, you just got to be ready to just let them rip.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or as you kind of were guesstimating, if some damage were to happen, maybe not to the ship, but to the aircraft up top, you want to still make sure that you can have full squadrons and backup in case engines go down or things get damaged. You know, all sorts of things can happen. Now, I mentioned the weight, but its overall length is 872 feet or 266 meters with a full load. When it's fully loaded, that's when it's 37,000 tons. It's about the length of 3 football fields, to put it into sports perspective. We've been watching some games here.
Yeah, we're watching the Jets and Buffalo play. That's lengthy.
Yeah. I mean,
I see it though.
I guess, yeah.
I mean, if that last row of flags back there is the back end, then yeah.
How many football passes would it take you to get to the end from one end?
I don't know. I was throwing like
1.
60.
You were a QB though, right?
One hope and a dream. I could throw like 60. That was like way back in that.
Yeah, but now you got juiced up
now
guns.
Now it's like 20.
but it's a strong 20. That's a perfect spiral.
These joints are creaked up and honest.
For those 20, it's a bullet.
It is a tight pass. All right. So during the Hornet's service, it had a crew of 3,400 people. A lot of people, many decks. As you kind of gathered, as you guys were setting up all the tech, Christian and I were running around for about 2 hours as we saw all the various hot spots.
Was it 2 hours? That felt like forever.
Yeah.
I will say too, though, like there are some towns smaller than that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's actually a lot larger than I thought it would be. I feel like I could have existed on this ship and still not know who everyone was. was.
Probably.
Which feels kind of weird.
I feel like I could have existed on this ship and not known where I was.
Yes.
As soon as I went downstairs, Christian and I were both turned around immediately.
Yep.
And so we
that's
just
the part I don't like.
One flight of
followed-
stairs, we went, nah, we're lost.
Yeah.
Tour guide, please guide us.
Yeah, we just followed the property manager as we were kind of like, just help us.
Yeah.
Just
We're
trust.
lost.
And at one
Absolutely.
point, we tried to just walk off on our own. She was like,
Oh,
"Oh yeah,
yeah.
let's go back upstairs," and we just started walking.
The
I'm like,
one
"Well, actually,
chance.
why are we doing this? We
Right.
don't know where we're going."
The one time we were like, I
That's-
think we know where we're going. It was the wrong
So,
way.
are there like tight corridors and like doors that are like ajar?
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
it is.
Come on.
We're gonna be
Couldn't have closed
slouch
the-
central.
Why? We could have closed the doors. You know? I mean, like,
Mm.
Tight
No.
corridors, low ceilings. You're gonna be doing a lot of ducking.
When you step through the door, pick your feet up too.
Yep.
Because it's like, you know, in the movies when it's like an oval door.
Yeah,
there's,
and then you
there's
have
a step.
the step.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the thing is, we've done haunts and like, abandoned hospitals and whatnot.
Mhm.
And a lot of times they'll just be like, okay, these rooms are sectioned off, so you can't actually go in them. So is there a lot of rooms that are just open?
There's a lot of rooms that are just open.
I don't like that.
It's not like decrepit falling apart,
Right,
but it is
exactly,
more
yeah.
like
Which is
there's,
why they're open.
there are things and tools.
But it's
and-
just like, when it's like kind of like boarded up and you go, okay, less likely, at least if something comes through,
yeah.
I'll hear a crash, it'll be a warning. If I'm just walking, because now I'm imagining just walking through a hallway and there's just like voids next to me as I go.
Oh.
And I
Yeah.
don't like that.
Oh, many.
Yeah.
In front of you, behind you,
Yeah.
all around. It's there are so many long corridors down there. I tried to take photos of them and it just doesn't translate.
No. And it won't translate in the video, but
Yeah.
hope you're along for the ride.
We'll start recording these in VR. We can get that tech, right? Somebody contact Microsoft or someone. All right. So this ship has been in countless battles in World War II, in particular in the Pacific. And it was considered especially lucky, as you kind of noted, since the Hornet survived 59 air attacks without any serious damage from bombings or torpedoes. Obviously, since it's still afloat. So it took damage, but nothing too
Right.
serious as to take it out of commission.
That's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
The odds of that just seem so slim. But then again, you have to, I don't know the exact ratio of like how large the fleet was and the size of the attack from the air and whatnot. So,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, also, though, like, torpedoes, big bombs, but these holes are genuinely thick. Like, just knocking around this place, I don't know if I've ever touched metal this thick. It's otherworldly.
Yeah.
The size of it, the thickness, all of that. Now, it was later involved in returning troops back home to the U.S. during World War II in Operation Magic Carpet.
Oh.
I like that name. Swinging them on home. Now, the Hornet was decommissioned after World War II and was subsequently recommissioned 4.5 years later. In the 1960s, the Hornet rescued, actually, the Apollo 11 and 12 astronauts when their command modules splashed down in the Pacific. They were the ones who were on site in 1969 to fish them up out of the water and then make sure they were all safe. In fact, I think it's just barely in frame, but that's what that trailer, that Airstream back there is. I don't know if they had it on the ship when they picked them up, but basically
Right.
those are what the astronauts
That was
were
the
shuttled
quarantine
to.
zone.
Exactly.
See,
But-
like that one, that's
Mhm.
awesome
Mhm.
because it's just being repurposed for something completely different, right? Two, still wouldn't want to be on that ship. I don't know what they're coming back with.
Right.
Come on.
You don't know.
You can't guarantee me they're not coming back with something from
First
space.
man on the
okay?
moon?
You can't.
He could come back with moon goblins.
You have no idea. I don't know. No idea.
It's a very valid point. I hadn't
Like,
thought about that at all.
Do I believe? I mean, I've said it a ton of times. Do I believe that like there are hyper intelligent beings out there in the universe? Not
Yes.
necessarily. But do I think that we are the only ones out there
Yes.
capable? No.
I love having a camera so I can spike a lens. No, for sure. No, exactly. And that's why they had the quarantine zone because, like, yeah, it might seem silly, but you just don't know.
You just don't know.
What's on the other side?
You have no idea.
Right. And I'm also just a huge fan of this little factoid because Apollo 11, going to space. I'm a space boy. Neil Armstrong, both went to Purdue, boiler up. Love it. But getting back to the situation at hand now, during the USS Hornet's tenure, it was actually called the Gray Ghost. It is debated as to why, but my personal headcanon is that Neil Armstrong likes to visit, okay? He likes to haunt this place, much like you might haunt a hotel that you once stayed at.
Why would I haunt a hotel that I once stayed at? It just seems so random.
Listen, when you come tumbling in from space, I think you're going to remember the one that picked you up.
That's true.
Yeah, like a mother figure.
At that point, it's like, are you walking around as a ghost in a spacesuit?
That's a good question.
Like, that's the thing too.
Or is he in there, the airstream?
Could be. That's the thing too. Like, if you were to come back as a spectral entity, if that is real and true and whatnot, I mean, most likely would be the form that you have at the time of death.
It depends on
Right?
what you believe, right? If it's an imprint of history, it could be various forms of you in various locations. If it is a conscious version of you, like a concentrated piece of energy, your spirit, perhaps, your soul, then maybe it changes with whatever your self-depiction is.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a really interesting thought, though.
Yeah.
Now, this ship is huge. As we've talked about, it's got a lot of it's got a lot of aircraft on it. I'm sure it could fit a few boats. But within it, there are bunk rooms, dining rooms, there's a sick bay, a movie room, a library, and there's even shops like a bakery, a cobbler, and a barber. So this thing is basically a city on water. It was moving.
It's got it all.
It's got everything. The Hornet was finally decommissioned on June 26, 1970, but before it was scrapped, a group called the Hornet Foundation saved it and made it into the museum that we're sitting in today. So instead of just like, I don't know, piecing it out for parts or dismantling it, I like that. I like that it kind of stands as a memory to all the things it's done.
Well, I mean, it's definitely a great choice to have historical pieces like this. I mean, how often do everyday folk get to walk on something like this? You know what I mean? Like, I never expected to be walking on a ship this big. I mean,
Oh my God.
how it was exciting in a way to just even go up the stairs. I'm like, you see it in movies and film, and you go, whoa, look at that. This is
I mean, yeah, the moment of walking into this section of the ship and just seeing all the aircraft, like the helicopters, the planes, the capsules, it was just a cool moment of going, man, like look at what we're able to do. This is such a cool opportunity.
like, I've been on this earth for 34 years now, and this is the first time I've been on something like this.
It's incredible. Like you said, you see it in movies.
Yeah.
You see it in general. You're like, aircraft carrier, things land on it and take off from it, whatever. You see people do the go, 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 Top Gun kind of thing.
Sir.
But then being on it, it's wildly different. And then being able to traverse all the different floors.
Yeah,
that's wild.
That's a whole other like cool experience.
Yeah. I think the only other aircraft carrier I know of and that I've been on is in New York.
Oh.
I don't even know which one that's called, but it's there. It's the one that in I Am Legend, Will Smith is.
Oh, it's hitting golf balls off?
Yep, exactly.
Oh,
I think it's got an SR-71 on deck.
So that was like an actual ship.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Now, eventually, in 1991, this location was registered as a historic landmark. And today, you can even visit the floating museum docked here in Alameda, California. That's where we are right now. They have exhibits on the Apollo splashdown, women in the military. They have a PTSD resource center, among many other things. And there are multiple planes on deck, as well as stowed away down below where we are. If you are so inclined, you can sign up to stay overnight for a history mystery tour, as they call it. But we will be spending our night investigating this location. I love that you can actually, multiple Girl Scout troops have done the history mystery tour.
Come on, man, don't tell me that. Come on.
And they've had so many experiences.
Why is that a bad thing?
Because then cut to the video where I'm terrified out of my mind, okay? And you just told everyone that, Girl Scouts just be hanging out here.
Yeah, hanging out, braved up.
Like it's a fun field trip.
Yeah, no, that wasn't intentional or anything.
Damn.
Now, with the amount of time the ship has been at sea and facing battles, it is said that around 200 to up to 300 servicemen died aboard the Hornet, depending on the source that you look at. Some of these deaths were violent accidents due to propellers, exhaust, cable disasters, things of that nature. I mean, there's a lot of genuinely dangerous hardware and machines on this ship. We're going to bonk our head left and right. That is the biggest danger that we'll be facing, thankfully. But otherwise, when this ship is in operation, there's like steam wildly hot and invisible in one instance, and I'll get to it, but like pipe burst open, that thing blew someone's arm off. That's how hot and like pressurized it is. So it's a dangerous ship.
Yeah, it almost feels like, in a sense, like a construction zone, right? Everyone's operating heavy machinery. There's a lot of big, huge moving parts. I mean, how's there not going to be things that break or malfunction?
Right.
And then just becomes this huge liability. But yeah, I'm very interested to see how it's going to be to maneuver, because I'm going to have to watch my step between like doorways, and then also kind of like crouch a little bit. Like, you short kings got it made right now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We got Nick and Shane back behind the cameras, but yeah, I mean, there's like piping, there's vents, there's doorways, all sorts of things. So you're gonna have to do your stretches later, because your back is gonna be a little rounded all night. Oh yeah. Now, reportedly, this is a bit darker, but reportedly, probably due to its long tenure at sea and how many battles and interactions it saw, the USS Hornet had the highest rate of suicides during its run. And so that could also be part of the number of servicemen that have passed away on board. Now, the exact reason is unknown, though it is kind of estimated that the long deployment times could play into that. PTSD impacts on the morale and the mental health of the soldiers on board. And sadly, suicides continued to happen on this ship even after the Hornet was decommissioned. And so in that sense, it has a lot of negative energy in that sense, if you know what I mean.
Interesting. I mean, I'm assuming when it was decommissioned, it was more stationary than anything. And so there were still people on it?
I think, yeah, still operating it, keeping it going, keeping it like afloat. I don't know exactly what happens after decommission, but it doesn't see active
I almost
action, right?
wonder at that point, like, that it's kind of like the Golden Gate Bridge. You know, myself being born and raised here, hearing a lot of like situations where people would want to jump off the Golden Gate Bridge. I feel like it's almost one of those things where like you hear that people have done it, so then unfortunately it becomes this inspiration or like idea for others to continue. So I feel like, you know, while it's decommissioned,
the seed is planted
for other people. Like, well, this has happened here, and so like they're already in their mind, unfortunately.
And the reason I talk about that is not the morbid angle of it all, but really because in the various episodes we talked about the afterlife or the paranormal or ghost entities in general, they're usually centered around environments that have high emotional tolls or like something just like extreme happening. And war is one of those very things, of course, but tragedy in general seems to be almost like a magnet
catalyst,
for this kind of activity.
You don't really, you know, we're not out investigating at a Chuck E. Cheese,
right?
You know, because there's more laughter there,
right?
than there is.
Well, I've seen those animatronics
and those ball pits, right? There's they're kind of gross when you like think back.
Now, with that said, that's kind of the history of the USS Hornet leading up to today. I want to talk about kind of, it's interesting, this location. There aren't, as we've done with the previous Halloween specials, you'll note that there are like named ghosts, specific people or entities that people see often. Instead, because of the number of sightings, these are more categorized in types and locations.
Oh.
So,
like we talking about like, hold on now, because before we had like in different locations we had like was it Penhurst? We had like the King.
Yeah, King was there. Yeah.
Which boiler room.
Which what a terrifying name.
Right.
First off,
he was like the one evil entity, like the more aggressive of the entities there. Yeah.
And so you're saying different types. So you're saying not just ghosts, like
manifesting in different ways, but all essentially spirits.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll dive into it.
Fall's that time of year when it feels like time just speeds up. There's too much to do and not enough time, and that makes it easy to fall into a recipe rut. But that's why HelloFresh is here with over 40 mouth-watering recipes every week. They do all that shopping and meal planning for you and send you pre-portioned ingredients with step-by-step recipes, no thinking required. HelloFresh has in-season, farm-fresh ingredients that scream fall, including their limited-time fall flavors lineup in the HelloFresh market. All their produce travels from the farm to your door for peak ripeness. And because life can be hectic, they've even got quick and easy options, including 15-minute meals. HelloFresh is great for me. I'm in this state now in my life where I'm trying to take a big step with my health and my fitness. So I'm trying to eat 5 meals a day, cut my macros. And so having 15-minute meals that are good to go, healthy, I can count all the macros out. It's been fantastic. And HelloFresh is really keeping me on track for my fitness goals. Go to HelloFresh.com/50RedWeb and use code 50RedWeb for 50% off plus free shipping. That's 50% off plus free shipping when you go to HelloFresh.com/50RedWeb and use code 50RedWeb. This episode of RedWeb is sponsored by BetterHelp. You know those moments when your brain's on a bit of a self-sabotage mission? You know what you should do, but it's like there's an invisible force stopping you. That's where therapy comes into play. It's like having your own personal detective for your mind. They help you uncover what's been lurking in the shadows and holding you back. If you're considering giving therapy a shot, try BetterHelp. They're entirely digital, which makes it super convenient, flexible, and perfect for fitting into your schedule. All you do is fill out a quick questionnaire, and they'll match you up with a licensed therapist. You can also switch therapists at any time, and it won't cost you a single extra penny. I mean, therapy is just good to have in your life. That you always will want and will need someone to talk to, and having a licensed professional kind of help diagnose the problems and the issues and the emotions that you're feeling. I mean, everyone needs that in their life. Make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/RedWeb today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/RedWeb. This episode of RedWeb is sponsored by Shady Rays. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that knows how to make top-notch products. Gear up for days outside with quality shades built to last. Our friends over at Shady Rays provide premium polarized shades in all kinds of styles. Their frames are built to be super durable and perfect for all your outdoor adventures. Plus, Shady Rays has a wild protection plan. Every pair comes with lost and broken replacements. So if you accidentally lose or break your shades, even on day one, they'll hook you up with a brand new pair, no questions asked. And let me tell you, it is brand new pair, no questions asked. A good friend of mine went to the beach past couple weeks ago, and while boogie boarding, a wave hit his face, and boom, his Shady Rays sunglasses were gone into the ocean. That being said, it's just like they say, lost and broken replacements, no questions asked, brand new pair, boom, right to his door. He was hooked up and was strutting his new shades in no time. Exclusively for Task members, Shady Rays is giving out an amazing deal for the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code RedWeb for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people.
As you can imagine, with the sheer amount of deaths and high emotions felt on board the USS Hornet, it is no surprise that many consider this ship to be extremely haunted. People who visit the Hornet have reported seeing shadow people, lights turning on and off, doors opening and closing, hatches banging, this eerie sense of being followed. Have you ever felt that when you're like in the woods or just somewhere and you're like, someone's watching me right now?
I kind of want to know now, like the science when you're just in a dark place and you're terrified and you just kind of get like the goosebumps. You know?
I think it's self-preservation. It's evolution. It's like when you're on a ski lift and your knees start
sense. It's
knocking
your spider
together.
sense.
Yeah. Oh, I got spidey sense.
Something's terrifying.
It's called being scared, but I got spidey sense. I get the sensation that I'm afraid. Yeah. No, I do actually wonder what that science might be.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I feel like I just need to stay away from the both of y'all. Like Shane and I can go off. What? Because, well, I mean,
we're the magnets, Christian.
We've done 2 ghost hunts.
Unfortunately.
We've done 2 ghost hunts. Shane and I, we're cool. Everything's fine. You guys come back and go, we heard this. We saw this. This happened.
Yeah. We heard so many voices and sounds. A growl at Pennhurst.
Yeah, we got none of that. So we... you know what I mean? We're batting 0 for 2. We're happy about that.
Shane's been doing this stuff. He sees stuff.
Well,
whenever he's filming me, and he goes like silently. He like lifts up the camera, looks under it, and goes. I go, oh, he's seeing something. He's hearing something. You haven't.
Shane has experienced some stuff, but I think it's mostly when we're in a group together. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll swap. we'll see if that.
Yeah, maybe it's all Christian.
Don't. No, the teams are already drafted.
Shane, we're gonna have an easy night. It's gonna be great. But yeah, people report hearing, not only just like seeing shadow people and things. They report hearing things like voices. Oh, cold breeze. That is outside.
Oh, right, chilly breeze. Woof.
They report hearing voices, both with their ears, but also through EVP, electronic voice phenomenon. An interesting note, just like a little side tangent, as we were walking the property, as we were walking the ship, there was a light on in a place that it shouldn't have been on. Like,
I forgot about that.
Wait,
yeah.
what?
We need to ask security if that was if they
forgot it.
Yeah,
Because
someone left
because
the
guide was saying that, I mean, everything else around it was off, and she was like, well, normally security comes down and turns these off, so it's weird that they're on.
And it was one room that had that light on.
They just forgot this.
It was like 3 floors down, surrounded by floors and rooms that were all off.
Yeah.
This just one room.
Also, that just sounds terrifying.
One room in a sea of darkness.
It was the operation room.
Had the light on,
It was like,
beckoning. No.
The one lit room is like a gurney in there.
Someone left that on. That's that. Yeah.
Look at him wafting the energy away.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Now, Steve Jackson, one of the Hornets caretakers, told Calvet Connect, a blog for California veterans, that they have learned the names of a few of the ghosts, quote, but only the first names. Christian, we don't have it in the outline, but I'm curious, did he ever reveal those names, or was it a privacy thing that he kept them back?
Not that we could find.
Gotcha.
I don't know what the reasoning may have been for why it wasn't revealed, but no, we couldn't find any information on who the ghosts were, what their backstories were, anything like that.
I'm just very curious. If you could, if you heard a name like Robert, it's only one name, and of course there was like 3,400 people here, but I'm curious if you could look at the logs and see were they here, did they pass away on ship, etc. But this is where we get to the 3 different types of ghosts people have very frequently encountered on this ship.
Oh, man, I've only thought about one type of ghost, just a regular.
Let's broaden those horizons.
3 types.
Let's expand the definition. So the first type is the residual ghost, where spirits seem to repeat actions from the past, very similar to the stone tape theory. The stone tape theory is kind of what we've talked about before, but it's essentially suggesting that ghosts are similar to recordings, that they kind of replay their behaviors. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like the behaviors that they did, whether it's moving things around or the emotions, whether it be sometimes you hear a yell or that's been reported on this ship, things of that nature, the high level things that people do kind of conveying through time.
It's not going to be, it's probably going to be something that's, if I do see an echo, it'll be something that creeps you out. It's never like, I don't know, an echo of the person stubbing their toe on the ship or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't.
That would really hurt.
It's
Why am I 6'4" on this ship?
Or it's just like, just be someone walking through doorways, and it's just, yeah. Terrifying.
I love being 5'2". This ship is great. I've never hit my head. Yeah, for sure. The next type is very interesting. The intelligent type of ghost that are able to move objects and somewhat kind of communicate with the living. People have like I said, very frequently heard voices. Christian and I are very familiar with that.
Unfortunately.
But a lot of things get moved on this ship. And I had to ask, because we will get into the debunking when we investigate. I asked, now I know this is a ship and I know it's heavy, but does it list at all? Is there any rocking because it is still afloat? And they were like, no, this ship is very stable because of how heavy it is. Yeah. Really, the only listing it does is when they move planes around, and it kind of
distributes some of the weight around,
changes the center, right? Okay. So, but it keeps that list. So if it changes by 3 degrees, it'll just stay at that new listing 3 degrees. The next type is the visiting ghost. Those who come to the ship in their life. I guess these would be people, not ghosts at first, but people that came to the ship in their lifetime that didn't stay permanently. And this is theorized to be why women's voices can often be heard throughout the ship, despite usually being crewed by all men.
That's an interesting... Huh. Okay. Yeah.
And it's also why Neil Armstrong, in my professional opinion, is here with us right now.
Right. Okay, so that's what you're going to piggyback off of. Got it. There it is.
Jillian gave me the research and grounding, and I filled in the gaps.
I'll be honest. I feel like, because I know that, you know, like any location that we visit, but more so this one that's just dangerous, like to be like, oh, I'm scared, and then just go bolting into the darkness. I feel like I'm gonna just go into a default mode. If like if I hear stuff, I'm like, come on, man, stop talking to me. Like,
Give it up.
Can we not? Can we just
come on now?
Come on, now. Maybe like another time. Like
maybe later. I'll come back tomorrow.
Have a civil conversation.
Yeah. And you just hear the EVP back, and it's just like, please, no, please, talk to me.
Like, come on, bro. Not right now.
No,
like,
not right now.
On the moon.
I'm right here.
Let's just keep it chill.
That reminds me of a video that I recently just rediscovered online, and it is a legitimate found footage of somebody recording on an old VHS tape as they were in the Paris catacombs, and they're kind of meandering, lost. And at some point, they think they heard something, but suddenly they just started sprinting. Again, this is all caught on VHS, and they're just sprinting left and right and turning randomly and going left and right and center. And then eventually they drop the camera. It lands kind of like near a puddle, and like you just see them continuing to take off down the tunnel. And that person, I think it's still unknown who it was, but either way, yeah, that person was never found, and the camera was eventually found, and the tape just recorded until it finished, and the camera just went until it died.
Oh man, that's like some Wreck type stuff, and I watched that too last week.
You watched all of them.
I watched Wreck 1 and 2, and then I saw video synopsis of the other two.
Yeah. So you just reminded me of that when you said, "Oh, if I see something, I might go bolting." I'm like, if you go bolting, you're going to get lost, and then they're going to corner you, and then you'll have a conversation. It'll be great. Now, while this whole ship, all of these encounters kind of sound super spooky, it is worth knowing that most of the ghosts on the Hornet are considered to be kind and even helpful.
Oh, thank God.
When they were talking about turning lights on and off, that's usually things are turned off, right? To like, hey, lights out. That's a standard not only for when this was in tenure, but also just in general, like what they do when tourists aren't coming by. There was actually a longtime staff member, Bill Fee, who told KALW, a public radio station here in San Francisco, about a story involving similar physical or spectral activity here on the ship. So as the story goes, one Friday night around 2:30 a.m., Fee went to bed alone and did not bother with turning the light on turning on the safety lights, to be succinct. He woke up to the sound of one clicking on one of these safety lights, and then another, and then another, and then another, until they were all on. The lights, one after the other, and they were all on. And Fee told KALW that he did not feel scared, as the ghosts were veterans of the ship. It essentially just felt to him that they were trying to help by offering the safety lights to make sure that he was in a safer environment so he can actually have visibility. And I do like that. I do appreciate a helpful ghost.
See, that I do like, because again, this is the third time we've been on location, and we haven't come across like nice ghosts,
right?
Or like primarily nice ghosts.
They've usually been neutral, or in the sense of king, and aggro, like aggressive.
Kind of aggro. That being said, again, I messed up by watching Ghost Ship last week. And, you know, the dude was, you know, okay, well, if you watch Grey's Anatomy, it was Yang's love interest in the earlier seasons. Don't worry about it. Okay, all right, hold on. Anyways.
Nick behind the scenes went,
he's in that movie, and he's following one of the singers that was a ghost, and then she led him to an elevator shaft, and he fell over.
Didn't he fall through her?
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
Seduced by a ghost.
He was seduced.
Don't catch me being seduced by a spectral entity. Now, visitors and museum staff have said that items have been moved and knocked around almost on a daily basis in this location.
So you know how we had that case file episode where we went through a bunch of like haunted footage online?
Yeah.
And my default was
fish line everywhere.
Fish line?
Yeah.
That was my way of reasoning with it, was fish line.
Yeah.
So then if something moves for our video, that's what someone else is going to do to us.
Right.
Like, must
fish line.
Fish line.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'll do if we catch something moving.
I'm not gonna catch you. I'll tell you that much.
He's not going to catch it because you're too busy here.
Look, I like to think I have really good reflexes. I ain't gonna catch it. I'm gonna dodge that. I'm gonna dodge it. I'm gonna try to break its ankles.
He's going to hear something clamber onto the ground, and he's going to be. I'm going to look up, and he's already going to be a blur down the hallway.
Yeah.
Now it seems that many ghosts continue to do chores, like the stone tape theory, right?
Oh.
Do chores from their time in service on the Hornet. One popular ghost, the Flyboy, happily talks presumably to other spirits while opening and closing some of the hatches. Once a volunteer paused while painting and came back to find that their work was finished, and no one else was around on that level to have done the work. This isn't the first time that an actual tool has been used on the walls and left with no trace of another person.
Can you imagine like the value if you were actually able to prove that this painting was half done by a ghost,
Right.
a spectral entity?
You're like, Captain, I finished painting the wall, but actually it wasn't me. I did it a little bit, then I slacked off, and then it was done.
Yeah.
The captain goes, yeah, I did that for you. No, that'd be cool, though.
Yeah.
Have a ghost to help me paint my walls?
Yeah.
Just saying. Bring one home, Fredo. One of the Hornet Foundation founders, Bob Rogers, told Oakland Magazine that while going down the ladder to the main control engineering room, someone in a khaki uniform with dark hair was descending below him. Quote, then I went right on down to the engineering space. No one was there.
Why?
That's a confined space.
Why?
When you go below decks, you can't go through. There are no doors. You can only continue down through compartments that are stacked below you. You can't go forward or aft or across. Basically, each of the levels are kind of confined in their pockets.
Right.
And so if he's going down and he knows no one's there, there's no room for someone to have gotten into the engineering room, been present, and then backed out again. So the fact that he saw somebody, he's kind of unable to figure out what he may or may not have seen, if not for a ghost.
I think that's gonna be, because we did the hospital. I always forget the name.
Yorktown Memorial.
Yorktown. There it is. And that had a church in it. So that was like, to me, the one interesting
The birth of
aspect.
baby hands.
That was the birth of baby hands. We saw the little hands. And then Penthurst had the underground tunnels. I think for me here, we'll find a location. But I think one of the big things that I'm not even thinking about is just the way we're going to traverse, which is, I guess, up and down ladders, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
see.
steep.
Yeah.
It is an awkward experience.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
One of my knees is already feeling a little wobbly just from doing it all.
Yeah.
I'm like, stay with me just for the night. Come on. Keep it up.
Well, that's just the, I guess, again, my mind wanders. Like, I could bolt down a hall. You can only go so fast up a ladder. You know what I mean? Like, you can go as fast as you possibly can. You get to the ladder, you got to slow down a little bit. Then you got to, like, crawl your way up. And that's how you get pulled down.
That's like when you were a kid and you had nightmares and you couldn't run. You could only crawl super slow. And then you hit the stairs and you start going up and you're like, oh my God, whatever it is that's chasing me is right behind me.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that. Now, there are many locations around this ship that some say are more active than others. Don't worry, Task Force. We'll make sure he goes to every single one of them because we looked at basically some of the hottest spots and they're good.
There are a few.
They're good.
There are a plenty.
And there are several isolation locations. The potential abounds.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Now, in the boiler room, this is where I want to talk about like specific locations.
Okay.
We're not going to go to all of these, nor
Big
am I
ship.
giving an exhaustive list of locations. These are just some of the very popular ones. So in the boiler room, a crewman once, this is actually the story I mentioned earlier, once lost his arm in an accident when a steam pipe is said to have burst and severed his arm from his torso. And this person is said to still haunt the space that he was in. The engine can be heard when he is active, because otherwise the engines don't run. Dan Brisker was working as a machinist aboard the Hornet from 1965 through 1969, and he says that he heard someone working in the firebox overnight while he was supposed to be keeping watch. Now, that would be abnormal because he was the one keeping watch. There wasn't somebody supposed to be in there. But as he walked over to check, he heard someone scraping paint. But as he got closer, not only was there no one there, the paint scraper dropped out of the air and hit the ground.
Oh, that's a very vivid experience.
Absolutely. And so basically, like, he wasn't just hearing a sound, he knew the cause of it and also saw no sight of anybody around and was supposed to be essentially alone. When he looked inside the firebox, the scraper was on the floor, and like I said, no one was around. On the flight deck, many full-bodied apparitions have been seen. Countless people have reported sightings of ghosts in their dress whites or their long navy peacoats. Many others have seen headless ghosts near the catapult, likely from real-world accidents involving the cables that are up there. Obviously, planes coming and going, cables moving a lot.
Whooping around, high velocity.
Absolutely. It's very dangerous on deck. Now, reportedly, there is still the ghost of a captured Japanese soldier in the brig on the flight deck.
Oh.
But we won't be going there. I think it's a smaller room, and it's usually, and we also won't be able to go up on the actual flight deck itself. But visitors have reported a negative energy around that particular spot. It might be one of the only spots on the ship that is considered to be negative or even potentially aggressive, just this location. Some have claimed that people have experienced things thrown at them while in this brig. On the
said nice ghost, though.
Said nice ghost. Well, this person was also a prisoner, so
you're true.
I guess I don't blame them for feeling a little antagonistic.
Yeah.
You know, regarding the situation. So that's been the flight deck.
Okay.
Moving down a deck below us onto the second deck where the crew bunks are, many have seen, again, a lot of paranormal activity. During the Hornet's tenure, there was a strict rule about lights out at a certain time. When visitors stay overnight in modern times, this rule is still enforced. A group of Girl Scouts actually staying in the sleeping quarters experienced this when they were using reading lights at night. Lights out happened. They were all still using their reading lights, and they kept them on, right? Until suddenly, sometime after lights out was called, all of their lights turned off all at the same time, inexplicably.
Yeah, see, I don't know, man. The ghosts are messing around with a bunch of innocent Girl Scouts. Who am I to not feel some
You think their lights went out and then they just went, time for bed? Your light goes out and you go,
I'm gone.
Like you're running.
I'm gone. It's just, no. I will not. I'll let you guys. I'll let the audience know. Task Force right now.
Yeah.
Okay. There will not be me experiencing a second thing. Okay.
Oh, a second thing.
There's a one.
There is a first.
There's a first and a last. Okay, and they're one and the same. There is no second experience. Okay.
That's awesome. All right. So the last location we're going to talk about, and then we'll start winding down and taking this over to our investigation, is the medical bay and the burn unit. They're still considered to be especially haunted. Former patients can be seen here resting and undergoing surgery. Witnesses claim that sometimes a gray mist emanates around the X-ray. Some tourists have even reported feeling someone trying to help them while they are laying or at least visiting in the sickbay area. Now, Mike Gordon, who was a museum docent, told KALW that once while walking into the sickbay, he stopped and felt that he suddenly couldn't move any further. So again, just a tip of the iceberg as far as actual experiences, stories shared, and locations on this vessel. There are so many more hot spots that I'm very eager to take you to.
See, that one hits a little close to home because we did an episode about sleep paralysis, and Christian and I, we talked about how we have a
long history with
very harsh experiences with sleep paralysis, and so that's just exactly what it reminds me of.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna investigate, go to a lot of spots, and like I said, we have a lot of tech. Christian, do you mind grabbing that SLS camera so we can show it? Because we've had it now for a while. We just haven't used it yet.
That's an Xbox 360 camera.
It is.
To connect.
It's because we're going to use the infrared cameras on it. And it's also got, like, I don't know the fancy tech behind it because I'm not well read.
I mean,
put it lightly.
Very.
It basically utilizes if I'm remembering correctly, it basically utilizes the IR sensors in the Kinect. And so you're meant to capture whatever space you're aiming it at.
Right.
And it will be able to detect any movement by any humanoid figures.
Yes. And it visualizes it too.
Yeah.
So Basically, I know the gaming terms of it. It tracks a person's body as they do things like Just Dance or whatever else.
Yeah, I would be dancing around and track
so
my body.
The theory is that this could also pick up spectral entities, especially if they're in humanoid form.
Yeah.
And when it sees a person, it will put kind of a skeletal structure, like an outline of where they are. And as you move, it will do that.
I love that.
So
it's essentially capturing the raw input data.
Yes.
And just recording that.
And then visualizing, if it thinks it sees a humanoid figure, it will put one there. And so the idea is hopefully we can use this to spot a humanoid figure, an entity somewhere on deck or on board, and then to try to speak to it, engage with it, and see. I've seen this used many different ways, but sometimes people say, can you walk over here? And then you can see this track the figure across the room.
This is a really cool device. I mean, you just have a hand rig, and then you just have a Connect, which is it's got the sensors on it.
Yeah.
It tracks. That's what it did when it came out for the 360. And then you got it strapped to kind of like a battery pack, and then on top of that, just a mount for a laptop, which is fantastic. Like this is
a little tablet.
a cool piece of device.
Yeah.
Hope to see nothing on this. That's really.
If I can get one and done, I want it on that.
This is
just because it's a new toy.
This is a new toy. It's a cool piece of tech. Does it track? I'm assuming kind of like mocap, or it's just like
a little bit
points and lines where like limbs are and everything like that.
Yeah.
Right? Shane's nodding.
Yeah, like a stick figure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like kind of stick figure with like. They'll start to map out the Whoa.
It'll look like a stick figure. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. He'll tell us more about it offline, but yeah, like it's essentially gonna like track a figure if there is one. Now,
see, my mind does this to me, okay? But I'm just thinking, I'm pointing this down a hallway and I'm looking on this damn tablet because now this is, you know what? I said for many episodes,
right?
I like tangible things.
Yeah, you're gonna get it
in our investigations and our mystery. I like the tangibility. And it's biting me in the butt right here.
This is full tangibility on display.
Imagine you look at the tablet, it's down the hallway, and you just see like a line of an arm go in, and then the rest of it starts to peek in. And
you are just nightmare fuel the man.
That sounds terrifying.
You're watching too many films, and I like it.
Would it be worse to see that like a figure on the camera like peek around a corner, or would it be worse to see them just emerging down the hall towards you, like out of the darkness?
If I saw a figure moving towards me, like the kind of skeletal figure that it comes up with to track, and it's moving, getting bigger. Imagine visually, it's just like looking that way, like just a dark hallway. You like visually can't see anything, and then on this you just see.
It's like the I don't know. It's like a visual or like modern day version of the radar pulse in the Alien series.
Oh yeah.
Didn't Paranormal Activity 4 use a Connect?
I think it was 4.
Their scares.
Yeah. But you could also see the light grid, the infrared grid that came out, and that's how they visualized the spirit on that, because the infrared like beams would hit it, and so you would essentially see an otherwise translucent figure, but the light would kind of have a 3D shape. That's not what we'll see on this. That's not how the actual system operates. Now we have lots of tech, things that we've used before in previous episodes. We did a whole case files with kind of breaking down some of the stuff that we've used before. However, something else that's new and equally high tech. For the audio listeners, I brought out, Fredo, what is this here?
That's a glass jar.
That's a mason jar right there. It is good for jams, jellies, fruits, preserves, pickling, and I'm hoping a spirit. Now listen, there's a spirit that I'm very much after. If I can get just a piece of them, I would be so happy to bring just a piece, an offering of a spirit back home with me. My friend from Purdue, we shared a school together, and you went to space without me. Neil Armstrong.
Without me.
Now, how, you ask, will I get him into this fine vessel?
Right.
I did a lot of research.
Okay.
I did a lot of crunching numbers.
All right.
What was the first candy to go to space? M&M's, and they've gone on 130 registered flight missions. I think that this is going to be enough to get just a little, like an ounce of Neil, just a piece.
They're not even
not looking
peanut
for a whole
M&Ms.
meal.
I don't even want to eat those.
You can't eat these?
Peanut M&Ms are way
1
better.
gram of protein.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Ooh. Now we're talking.
So this man is turning into Ed Warren. you just When you start bringing back pieces from places we've been to.
I want a closet full of trinkets that have a piece of a spirit that I'm after. Now, this one is more of a cordial handshake where I'm looking for a mutual offering here. If we were back at Pennhurst, I would be aggressively putting King into probably a Tupperware of some sort. Because that's just because he's rude. And that would then protect other people and the other children's spirits.
Make it a
from
Pyrex. This is glass. And it's stronger.
Yeah. But yeah, this will be my evening's event in addition to the investigation.
See, again, do I believe that spectral entities are real? No. Am I fully aware that the odds of me experiencing something are greatly and vastly higher because of this damn show? Yes.
I've opened you up. I've opened your mind.
Third year, third time's the charm.
Exactly. That's what
It's your
they
turn.
say. That's what they say.
I just task force. I don't think you understand. Okay, like where my body, my mind is at right now, because it's once a year. It's just the horrors of a place are described to me, and then I have to go explore the place.
Right.
It's not even just like you go into the place blind. It's terrifying. I go in knowing the things, and then I still have to go do it.
And then I go, this was where this happened.
Yeah.
Over there is where they
goes.
are.
Usually how it goes, and this is a big ship.
Yeah. Well, boys, this has been the USS Hornet episode. Thank you all so much for listening and continuing to support Red Web. This will be the moment where we point you to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/redwebpod, or search it, however you want to get there, so you can watch the actual investigation version of this. Obviously, you can also go to the Rooster Teeth app if you prefer to watch it there. But yeah, we're going to go investigate this ship now.
And remember, just like our last investigation, if you're watching the video of us exploring and investigating the ship, if you see or hear things, write the time codes in the comments, because that was a really unique experience.
Yeah.
There's a ton of stuff that we didn't catch that you guys did, and it
was very cool.
And we explained a lot of it through just trying to cope with the fact that it was just lighting refracting through the camera lens real weird.
You might have brought up fish line again.
I did.
And I was like, I don't think we had fish line.
I'm just trying to give an excuse for anything.
Yeah. No, we'd love to pour over whatever you guys
Yeah.
see, especially if you hear, because I'll be honest with you guys, it is very difficult to pour over hours and hours and hours of audio looking for EVPs. So if you hear anything, see anything, like Fredo said, please leave us timestamps.
You guys went to town. You guys were tweaking the brightness and everything like that. And
we saw things in motion.
Yeah.
It was cool.
So it was very, very good.
I forgot about that.
So thank you.
Yeah. All right. You guys ready to go?
No.
Well, we're going to go investigate Fredo. I'll see you right back here next week. Maybe not here.
No,
but
no.
Here.
Definitely not here.
In the heart for another mystery.